Hi, I'm Stu Kagan, and welcome to Born Scrappy, the podcast for scrap metal exporters and traders. Join me in conversation with some of the most experienced traders and operators that have helped shape this incredible industry. In today's episode, I'm joined by my good friend Anshul Gupta. Anshul owns and runs Pan Gulf International in the UAE. PGI is both a processor with multiple yards as well as a global trader of recycled metal. PGI handles around 20,000 tons of non-ferrous per month. Not too shabby. In this episode, we discuss training your traders, making the decision to expand during tough times, finding a way to work with your competitors, working with your buyers to get preferential pricing, and so much more. So let's jump in and hear from Anshul. But first, intro. Hey Anshul, how are you?
Hi, Stu. Nice to see you. Good morning to you from Dubai. I'm doing well.
Yeah, good evening from New Zealand. So good to catch up with you again, and I'm glad we've been able to make this happen. So, welcome officially to Born Scrappy, and excited to have you on.
I'm also excited. Let's see how it unfolds. It's my first podcast, so it's very exciting as well.
Look, I've spent time with you in your office, so no doubt we'll get some good value and some good stories. I've taken walks around your yard, so I know what
Mhm.
you're all about. So I've been trying to make this happen for a while, so the listeners should enjoy. Anshul, tell us a little bit of background on yourself, how you got into the industry, and then give us more information on PGI, when it started, how big it's grown
Mhm.
to, what sort of global trade you do, that sort of thing, how many yards.
Yeah. So that's very interesting. Let me try to recall. It's now been almost 24 years. So I did my education. I'm a certified public accountant. We call it chartered accountant in India. I fortunately I was not very smart and intelligent, but still I got a very good grade and one of the top 50 listed people in during those exams. So I was very fortunate. Credit goes to my dad, who was awake whole night trying to help me and support me during my study and exam days. So I still remember 20th July, I got my result, and 21st July, I joined my grandfather, my mom's dad. He's based out of Aurangabad. He's an industrialist running four factories. He's mainly into manufacturing of steel and alloy steel, automobile products of steel, forging units, machining units. So I joined him and I worked with them as a import export manager, as a finance manager, in various roles. And then we also had a task which was really helpful me to learn was we had to establish a rolling mill in period of 6 months only and make it going. So we have to procure all the machinery, and my grandfather, my uncle, who trusted me a lot, they gave me this challenge. I was a commercial person, so they asked me to purchase all the equipments, machineries with the help of technical team, and bring them there and make the plant running. So that made me really, the whole action pack, traveling all over India, trying to figure out the machines available, second-hand machines as well. We went to the biggest shipbreaking, one of the biggest in the world, Alan, and I stayed there for a long time, trying to find out all the machines and all. So that was my one first learning curve, which I really learned. And the best part was my uncle never asked me questions. He always told me just do it, and he trusted me. So yes, it went very well. And then he also taught me very interestingly how to do manage foreign trade. The thing was we had to go to Sri Lanka, and he said, "Okay, Anshul, we have to develop Sri Lanka market. We have been trying since many years. So this is the brochure of the company, and you have to go next week." I said, "Wow, that's very good. I will travel, and I'm very well prepared with nothing." So, but I've sat down with a technical team, manufacturing guys. Fortunately, they were very helpful, and within a week's time of crash course of the whole steel making process, alloy steel, I was in Sri Lanka, and we got three orders from all the new three customers. That was good because the company reputation was good, and also the owners were convinced. And we got three trial orders during that visit, and that was a big boost for me on my self confidence as well. My uncle and grandfather were very happy that okay, turned out well. And then he gave me challenge of developing GCC market. And with that, he asked me to go move on to Dubai. He asked me to, okay, go and spend some time in Dubai and see how it goes. So I moved to Dubai, 11th December 2020, 11th December 2099, sorry. 11th December 1999, I came to Dubai, and I came on a 1 year visa, 1 month visa. And he booked a hotel apartment for me. And the hotel apartment was booked for 3 months. I said, it's only 1 month visa. Why 3 months? He said, yeah, you never know. You might find something and it's okay. We can cancel it later on. And that was the day we started. And we had some partnerships earlier to explore the possibilities. And later on, we started on our own within 1 year. And it never stopped. So in 2000, we started our first company here. We took over a company which was existing that time. And we established Pan Gulf. The company name was originally Pan Gulf also. We kept the same name till now, and it has been blessing on us. During those days, very difficult to open trading licenses, and also we were fortunate to find this gentleman, and we took over his company, and it grown well. We started with one facility, very small one, 10,000 square feet. Engaged my first employee, our first staff who was also handling the office. And later on, he got promoted in various levels. Now he's the purchase head in UK. So you can imagine how much growth he started from
Wow.
somewhere and reached somewhere else. And fortunate to have him in my team. And gradually our team grew, our numbers grew. We worked hard, and then we had second yard, third facility, fourth facility, fifth facility, and then we consolidated and had the biggest non-ferrous facility in UAE. So with that, the growth story carried on, and now we are having our footprints. We have three facilities, big ones in UAE. Sorry, four. One is also in Abu Dhabi, and we have a big facility in Thailand as well. And rest we have our rep offices or trading offices in China, in India, in Pakistan, in let me figure out, yeah, in Europe as well, in Italy, in UK. So these are the main offices we are running from and doing a lot of our trading and buying and selling activities. So almost we reached the turnover of 3 billion dirhams, which is I think $700 million plus $750 million, and we're handling more than 240,000 metric tons of metal, mostly non-ferrous, from these operations. And we have almost 400 team members, happy team members. I'm very proud to say we are doing a lot of initiatives towards that direction that our team members, with the growth of the company, should also grow in. Apart from, I cannot reduce the stress much because this business is very challenging, but at least we can give them a comfort space where they can deliver, they can feel homely, comfortable, and do the best for both the sides.
So I've been to your sites, and firstly, really impressive. I sent you a message afterwards. Everybody seemed to just know exactly what they should be doing at the right time. The team that walked me around were very knowledgeable. But you said 240,000 tons a year, but I didn't see much ferrous at all. I mean, it was almost all non-ferrous. So those sort of volumes you're talking about is, in the region of 20,000 tons a month is mainly non-ferrous, like you say. That's a huge volume. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Uh, Actually, I don't know whether it is huge or not. I don't think so much about big or small. But for us,
Yeah.
yes, we are doing it this way, and I see potential of growth outside UAE now because UAE is more of a saturated, and for us to have a bigger share is more challenging. So outside UAE, yes, we can grow numbers further. Won't be a big issue. So yes, it's a big number. We don't do much of ferrous, as I told you. Maybe 1,000 tons a month of non-ferrous we do.
Yeah.
Rest is all
Yeah.
non-ferrous. Right.
Um, Anshul, I like to understand and learn from the likes of yourselves through stories. So, can you walk us through a tough trade that over the last 24, 25 years you had to deal with, and maybe some learnings from that, or how it went about and how you got through it?
Right. So I won't say it is tough, but yes, it is a learning thing which I like to share with a lot of my, I would say, peers in the same industry. So somewhere in 2012 we did a joint venture, and joint venture with was a very close friend of ours, and as well as a business partner. By business partner, I mean he was our customer, and sometimes we used to buy from them as well. So we had a good experience with each other, and we started our operations together as a joint venture. It fared well for a couple of years, and then various things unfolded. I felt there was some conflict of interest as well, and then there was some what do you call misdoings or misconduct by some of the directors, and then the partnership fell because of those misconducts as well as wrongdoings and conflict of interest. So it was a tough time because, but I won't say tough, but it was a challenging time because they were very close friend of mine as well. And when you work with them, and times are tough, so it's very difficult to come out of it without all these rashes or all these marks. So yeah, that was a challenging time, and what I learned from that, and when I discussed with my grandfather, I respect my grandfather and remember him a lot. He's not here now anymore. He left us. And Anshul, whenever you do a joint venture or a partnership, just remember one thing: it should be always on a same foot standing at least. So
Mm.
whenever the piece of wisdom I got from this, that whenever you do any joint venture or partnership, then please, first of all, just study the conflict of interest areas. Try to address them upfront and try to find out policies and procedures so you can avoid them in future. Because these are the areas which destabilize any partnership and joint venture. So first, identify conflict of interest areas, resolve them properly in writing, document it properly. Whenever we enter any JV, it should be on the equal standing. So both the partners have equal say. That is also very important for you to have your say and as well as respect others. And the last and the most important is all the partnership. Nothing is endless in this world. Yeah? Everything has a timeline. So entry and exit clause is to be very, very important in any sort of agreement or partnerships. So please take care. Always don't feel that when you're discussing exit clause that you're having an intention to exit. But the situations change with time. So it's always good to have an entry exit clause. In our case, it was also there documented well. So the exit was also very smooth, very amicable. And this is what my learning curve was during that tenure. I learned a lot from this and I grew a lot. So this is my sharing experience with all the people in the industry.
So, Anshul, there's quite a few things there I want to unpack. You talk about having an exit clause, and this is so important for anybody getting into whether it's a joint venture, whether it's raising capital, any sort of new partnership that they're working on. I agree completely. You can't um, back out of those discussions because you feel that you're planning for the exit. It's not at all. It's upfront. You should be planning for a divorce, and it should be going. What happens, and how do we make sure that the kids are looked after if there is a divorce? Right? It's not unfair to have that discussion, and I believe that it is pertinent and extremely important that we all have those discussions up front. Because, like you said, you did business with a friend of yours. Now, if you have that exit clause in place and it's been discussed up front, it can end amicably. You can actually walk away and say, like you said, it had a beginning, it had an end, and we move on and we can still see you socially or we can still communicate, whatever it might be, because we knew up front that if this happens, this is how it ends. So, yeah, that's vital, and everybody can really learn a lot from that. Can you, Anshul? I want to double click, so go a little bit further into the idea of the equal footing. And the reason for that is I just want to, and maybe you're not able to say, but if you can give us a little bit more about the story. Why wasn't there an equal footing? And what do you mean by not an equal footing?
I mean that the stake or the shareholding, if it is equal, then minority shareholder can never drive or take that sit in the driving seat with the majority shareholders. Always happens because definitely majority shareholder has to take care of a bigger interest, And that's why the boat starts sinking. But if it is balanced and both have the similar interest, so both have equal say in running of the company, operations, entry, exit, whatever it is. So that really helps in making that decision. Both are equals, and definitely any contract when it is uh, made, it keeps an interest of minority, but at the same time, the majority shareholders is most of the same, and that's
Mm.
not unfair. That's very fair because you have invested more money, so you have a bigger say. If it is equal footing, it's always equal. Fairness is there, and everyone's interest is equal.
Mm. I think, yeah, when it comes to actual equity stakes, it can't always be 50-50. But I think you need to understand why it isn't early on and understand your position and your say if you are a minority and how much control you have over and what you. So just be very, very aware of what can and can't happen in that position. But yeah, I agree that in a partnership or a joint venture, when it's 50-50, it's going to be a lot more fair because everybody has an equal say, for sure.
Right.
Um, Anshul, talk me through a tough decision that you've had to make in the past.
I wouldn't say tough, yeah, but various decisions you make. So one decision which I come across was in 2009 after Lehman Brothers meltdown. I'm sure you must have experienced those days. We were watching all the markets collapsing virtually 10% every single day. And you don't know, is it the end of the world or what? And 2009, we had an opportunity to acquire a bigger piece of facility for expansion, as we had five facilities in UAE, and it was very difficult to manage. It's not only expensive operationally, but otherwise also the management becomes difficult. So we made a decision: should we take a bigger piece of facility in these bad times and incur all the expenses in developing it and building up the structure and everything? So that was a very calculated risk. So we make a proper SWOT analysis, how much operation cost we can save, what is the capex required, are we capable of taking it, what volumes we can generate from this. And with that decision, where everyone has having in UAE, no one had a facility more than 20,000 square feet. And we took this challenge of 120,000, that means six times bigger, and developing it and building it in these tough times. Just remember 2009, the cash flows are very bad, challenging days. No banks is ready to finance you. Everyone thinks expansion is a risk. But here we took a very calculated risk. And in fact, it reduced our expenses a lot. We got a single piece of place. We had our own headquarters. So we started saving on our rents, start saving on our operation cost. And actually, we gained from this consolidation and taking up a challenge of a one single bigger facility at that time.
In 2008, 2009, to have the guts to go and buy or go and move into a facility six times bigger than the biggest other facility in your region. Yeah, that takes some real guts. So that must have been a massively calculated decision. And I'm sure the amount of
Right.
deliberation that went on to try and make sure it was the right decision was huge.
Right.
But looking
Yeah.
back, which is always helpful, it was a great decision. I've been in that yard. So, yeah, it was a fantastic decision.
So the good thing was that in 2009, as the landlord was also not able to get a good tenant, most of the companies closed down. The earlier tenant had some dues or whatever, some uh, issues with them, so they have to exit. And that's why he gave us a very good opportunity as well
Mhm.
to negotiate with him in a fair way. And he's very happy. And whenever he say, okay, in 3 4 years we are planning to take a bigger facilities in another industrial area, make on our own, he's not happy. He said, why you guys are leaving? Is it rent or is it what? How can I help you? So he's really happy that PGI has been together with him, fulfilling our part of commitment and standing within last how many years now? It's almost 11 years
Mm.
in the same place. So yes, opportunity comes with how you balance both the ends, not only yourself but other ends as well.
Look, you seem to be outgrowing it already. So, having a look at it the other day, I think you might be, yeah, you might be running out of space. And if you keep growing at the speed you're growing, you might need a whole heap more of those, from what I've seen. But that's exciting. That's a good problem to have, I guess.
Yeah,
You
true.
were speaking a little bit there about the landlord. and your relationship with them. I saw you at the BMR at first, and then at the BIR, and you play a big role in that. You had your family there as well. When I talk about collaboration on the podcast, I'm always looking for how different captains of our industry or players in our industry collaborate with each other and collaborate with association, whatever else. How is it that you have collaborated over the years or worked with other people in the industry?
So, again, coming back to the story, my story, which I can share, it's a more of experience sharing, as we call it by viewers. So, my experience sharing was in 2012. The banks were loaded with cash due to easing in interest rates or money lending and all. So, most of the bankers they start giving left and right all the money to people to work to grow the economy. So, 2012, the market was flooded with cash. So, definitely margins went down, and it was very unhealthy industry practices which was being followed. So people were buying expensive, selling cheap, trying to use their banking lines, which I found very unhealthy. Being a chartered accountant, so I really don't appreciate or uh, go towards that direction. So what I thought at this point of time, what we need was collaboration. So I reached out to many of my peers in the same industry and discussed with them that let's try to work together instead of doing all this competition and unfair practices of cutting down each other. It's unhealthy. It will bring down the whole industry. So let's try to work together. So we had a very good dialogue. And what good thing I found in most of the people that they were looking for this dialogue, but no one was initiating it. They always think, yeah, if we can work together, it's always better. But no one had the, I wouldn't say guts, but the just a step to take the initiative. So I didn't do big thing. I just brought two or three big players together, had a word with them, and trying to see what are the common grounds. And in this, what helped me a lot was one course I did with the Professor Pablo. He's a guy who teaches you. I think you might have also the negotiation skills workshop. So how can you do a negotiate? How can you improve your negotiation skills? And my key takeaway in this workshop was, negotiation is not about getting the maximum from anyone. Negotiation is a part or process where you identify the common grounds where both the parties can get the benefit out of it. So we sat down, we found out the common grounds where we can work together. For example, his facility was empty. He said, okay, I can use my facility without charging any rent, which is a very good thing. I had some excess labor, so I brought down my labor. So our operation cost was reduced drastically and our margins increased. So we work towards collaboration and find out the areas where we can work together. So this was my experience sharing that don't think your competition as your enemy. It's not like this in our business. You can increase your margins and as well as your cost. You can reduce your cost by finding out the synergies with your peers. So that
I
was one of
think,
the things.
Anshul, you've just summed up the reason why I talk about collaboration. I mean, the main thing has been I've been doing this for 25 years and I constantly see everybody fighting and fighting for every kilogram, fighting for every employee, fighting for that piece of land, whatever it can be, fighting for some marketing space, whatever it might be, everybody is constantly fighting. Now, I love healthy competition. Don't get me wrong, and I think that's great to watch and it's great to be a part of. But there is a lot of room in this industry for us to collaborate and work together. When I was with you the other day, we were talking about certain pieces of equipment that we might look to get, and who can advise who, and who's in your network, who's in my network, that we might be able to reach out to be able to find what is the best piece of equipment through experience of people actually utilizing it. Now, if you're not fighting with your neighbors and everybody else around you, it's easy enough to pick up a phone and say, "Hey, mate, I saw you bought this piece of equipment. What's it like?" Or your cousin in so and so, he runs this piece of equipment. What's it like? But if you're constantly fighting, you have nobody to reach out to. So your example is fantastic, and it's the best example I've heard so far of collaboration in the industry. Excess piece of land, some labor available, putting them together and really working together as a unit in our industry to be able to fight through what's often difficult times.
And
So
you know
thank you for
how I
that.
learned this? How I learned this when I used to do my training with my grandfather and my uncle. So I saw a lot of competitors who were smaller than them in terms of volume. He used to come and see them and sit down, and he always fairly used to give piece of advice for them in their benefit. So one day I asked him over in evening, that Nanaji, why are you giving this piece of advice? It is harming us directly, economically. And then he told me, Anshul, you don't see the bigger picture. In long term, they will always come and discuss with you, and you didn't see the opportunities they discuss with me. And we found some common grounds where we work together on those opportunities. So by helping someone fairly, you always gain something. It is not this that you're losing economically. You always gain economically, and it always brings down the competition and always creates a healthy practice. So it was a very big learning I saw in his working style. And same thing I follow. If anyone asks for any information or piece of advice, either I tell them, okay, sorry, I cannot share with you. That's my trading secret. Or I'll tell them very fairly whatever I've learned and shared my experience rather than misguiding them or giving them wrong information. Uh, this is what I learned from him.
I think if we want to stay in the industry like a marathon and you want to stay in for a while, it's about adding value for your clients. If you're going to try and rob them on the scale, it's great today, but you probably won't be in business tomorrow.
So
So it makes sense. It makes sense what your grandfather taught you.
yeah.
Anshul, talk to me now a bit about exporting. And I'm going to ask you about the exporters because you're an exporter. You handle your own material, but you also have trading offices around the world, which you've already mentioned to us. I've met some of your traders as well in Dubai. So you have guys that are buying from other exporters globally and selling into your network or into your markets. How would you advise them to optimize their trading strategy? Stuff that you've implemented, you're on a larger scale, it's things that you see that your suppliers aren't necessarily doing, but you think might actually give them a better edge in the market.
So for trading, what we focused was always on training of a team. So whoever joins our team, it is essential for them to go underwent the training in various departments, which is a shorter thing. But the trader has to mandatorily uh, go through the training process of learning about metal and physically deal with it. For that, we invest a lot of time, effort, training programs where the senior guys are training the newcomers, being their mentor. So, for me, training and learning of my team members is essential for the long term growth. And then only they can bring a sustainable growth which can be done every year. Unless they are trained, trading, if you people can buy on phone and sell on phone on pictures, but if you're a seasoned trader, you understand the product immediately. So my focus is my team should be able to understand the product and inform the suppliers as the buyers, because we are the middleman. If when you're in a trading role, we are a middleman, so we should know the product well. So there's no dispute later on. So for me, if you want to scale up your trading activity, control the quality by visiting those yards, do your KYC well, know about the quality, ask your team to be trained more and more so they understand the metal products very well and can be more diligent while trading.
Yeah, training is just so vital in this industry. We struggle as it is to bring people into the industry globally because it isn't as attractive as it should be. But we are globally working on that too. Um, but when we do have people, it's really important we train them. You mentioned earlier, I think it was your purchasing manager in the UK,
Yeah.
came from one of your early employees. You've obviously trained him, a hell of a lot to be in that sort of position now. A lot of the time, we find somebody in a position and he's really good at that one thing. So we don't necessarily train him because we think, oh, he's great on the weighbridge. I'm not going to move him anywhere. But he ends up leaving our industry after a couple of years because he's bored and he's capable of doing so much more. So really pushing people through and training people as much as possible is really important. And to, just to touch on, to optimize your export strategy, I guess if you are a scrap dealer or a metal recycler, um, not even just necessarily a trader, whoever is doing your trading, so your day-to-day selling, negotiating claims, making sure that your quality is up to scratch, etc. Make sure that person is really well trained, because that is vitally important. They will make sure that you're selling the right quality that's in your yard, not just in his respect that they're pulling off some theory that says it's this commodity. But if they really know what they're talking about, they go and look in the yard and they say, actually, we've got a few issues here. And you rather want to know that up front before it lands at the buyer's portal or unloaded at the buyer's warehouse. So, yeah, training is really important for the trading side.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And when dealing with a new buyer, what do you look out for, and what should other metal recyclers look out for?
So, to develop any new buyer, I can share my experience that we don't sell to any new buyer without visiting their factory, their premises. There are very few cases where we sell without visiting the premises. The reason is when you go to someone's premises, you see how their working is, what volumes they're talking about, what is the inventory level. If anyone is in a financial incapacity, you can easily make out from the visit. Any person who's, the true self of the person can be revealed with interaction, human interaction. So though we really appreciate the technology and we still work virtually, but I sincerely believe KYC, visiting your clients once a year, is essential. It's most essential to develop any. And when you visit, I mean, most of the traders, they not only visit one customer, they visit multiple. So they know about the background of the industry in that region, who is strong, who is weak, the movement of cargoes, and they also find a lot of information which can be beneficial for us. I call it market intelligence. So that market intelligence really equips our whole team to make strategy, where to sell, how to sell, which one is having a better price, what to be careful of. So for me as an exporter, please don't. I really appreciate working together, but at least visit them once and see how their working is, and that will really give us a comfort factor.
Yeah, visiting is massive. I used to travel to South Korea every single year and
Mm.
see probably between 15 to 20 of our buyers that bought from us on annual contracts. And it's quite right. You can tell straight away if you're going to have a problem, just often by the quality that's sitting on their floor. If you can
Mm.
see that they're buying grades that aren't necessarily on spec or up to standard, you know that there's maybe something a little different happening. And you can also tell year by year. So I haven't heard before somebody say you should visit every year, and that's what you're saying, and I agree with that. As much as you possibly can, you should visit every year. A lot of the people that listen to this aren't necessarily large players that have a trading team. It's a lot easier when you have a trading team, especially when you have an office in China, UK, Thailand, etc. That's a lot easier for a smaller operation. It's a lot harder to get to them. That's why I recommend getting to the likes of the BIR, at least getting in front of these buyers face to face. That's at least something, right? And from there, deciding, when it's in Copenhagen, for example, next year,
Mm.
make sure you go out and see your European buyers because you're traveling there anyway. It's in
Right.
Singapore in October next year. Make sure you do that region as well when you go there. Because for an owner operator who might be doing the trading, to go and see every new buyer every year can be quite tough.
And super. And just adding to what you said, uh, though it is, I just want to tell the viewers it is not scripted, but just to inform you all, Stu's made a good effort with his team to start a new platform of trading, where he's for the smaller suppliers, where he's also doing the KYC of all the customers through all his channels, traveling and all. So in this way, you're doing the same process actually, and you're helping the smaller exporters through your platform by doing upfront KYC for them to make sure nothing is 0%, 100% in this industry. There would be some risk, but it is very controlled risk, and that's why I appreciate your effort of how you're getting all the suppliers doing their KYC, customers doing their KYCs, and helping the industry.
Well, that's it. I mean, Anshul, I think I've seen that there's an issue, and I'm trying to just fix a problem as much as I possibly can. Put together the smaller metal recyclers globally with the biggest buyers in the world, as well as putting it in that ecosystem of trust so that I do the KYC for them. Because like we just said, you can't expect for them to be traveling around the world every year, seeing every one of their buyers. So if I'm able to do that for them, that's helpful. And then doing all the post-trade administration, because I know that that's really going to be helpful as well. But that's something completely different, and that we'll know more about next year sometime. But that's kind of happening in the background at the moment. Anshul, tell me, how has the industry changed since you've joined, and what do you think it's going to be like in the next 10 years?
Okay. So industry, I mean, earlier I saw trading has really less volumes but very good margins. But with new policies, procedures coming up, liquidity issues coming up, I mean, the liquidity is good and bad at the same time. What I see now is uh, most of the countries have started recognizing uh, scrap as a recyclable resource in most of the economies. And with this recognition, which is very good for industry, it should be not termed as waste or scrap. Recognizing it as a resource is a big achievement for our industry. So, looking into that, the government, most of them are making procedures and policies to promote circular economy, which is restricting the transboundary movement of recyclable material from one country to another country because they want the resource should remain in the country. What I sincerely believe that this circular economy concept will change the movement of products. We should be ready for that. A lot of inter-country movement would be having certain restrictions. So more and more processing in your own facility or in your own premises or countries would be coming up very soon. We can see a lot of countries have banned or put some restrictions. You cannot export more than 98% attachment purity cargoes. Only 98% plus purities cargo can be exported from various countries in Europe. So a lot of restrictions you can see coming up. So yes, concept of circular economy is the next thing which should be there. And secondly, the negative thing in this, which I see, is this is my personal perspective, that they have made the circular economy as a national concept. I believe it should be a world concept. The whole economy or whole world should be considered as one big economy rather than keeping to your own country because certain resources, the requirement is good in India or China or Korea or in US. So why we cannot export there and process there and consume there? So rather than treating a resource as a personal country national asset, it should be treated as a own global asset and try to find the synergy where you can process it and use it in the best possible economical manner. If it is not economically sustainable, it won't be a regular practice. It will discontinue. So that was my observation.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of regulatory issues coming over the next 10 years. Hopefully, we can sway it in our favor. You pitched it really nicely that they should be seen as global resources and global assets instead of regional and kept within countries or within boundaries. So you obviously know, I know, we're making an effort. We're trying to curb this as much as possible. It doesn't make sense. We can talk about this for hours and hours on end, why it doesn't make sense. But what we need to do desperately is get it through to the decision makers and make sure that they don't hamper the continued effort and the continued growth of this industry, because what they don't see coming could be something much worse in the direction we're heading at the moment and the strength that this industry has. If they do stuff to get in the way of the industry and to actually make it harder for the industry to operate, it could have a dire effect and it could go the opposite way from what they're actually hoping. So let's just hope they listen to us and hear where we're coming from. And hopefully the next 10 years isn't made up of regulatory issues that we're having to deal with, well, not negative ones, but I expect there will be, either way, a lot of regulations that are implemented, hopefully more good than bad for the industry. I think we all need to keep an eye on that, and staying close to the associations really helps. They always keep you up to date with what's going on. So I do enjoy the input that we get from that. Anshul, How would you say um, a supplier of yours, or even yourself, becomes a preferred supplier? And by becoming a preferred supplier, do they get preferential prices?
Yeah, definitely. Supplier, so many suppliers actually. I can share an example. We had one supplier in the region, and they had a wonderful facility, but they were not able to process it well. Lot of We see a lot of gaps. They had made a huge investment, but there were a lot of gaps in their processes. So we really handhold them for a couple of months, shared our experience because we had a similar sort of a setup of processing in our facility, and then they really improved. They really took our advice or our experience sharing in a sincere way, and they improved the system and they become our preferred supplier because they were very ethical and very positive towards learning and improving their quality. So they became a preferred supplier, and definitely when it is a preferred supplier giving you certain volumes, we have a slightly, I mean, the margins are very less in our trade. We all know this, but definitely there's a consideration of a regular and preferred supplier, and we pass on this benefit to them, not only in terms of monetary benefit, but various other ways, because increasing the price is the easiest way you can do the business. But again, finding out the common synergy levels where we can really help each other. For example, if they have any funding issue, a gap of funding for 7 days, 10 days, we try to assist them because they have a bigger opportunity if they can use the funds to buy a bigger piece of cargo and make more money. So those synergies are more helpful than just giving the price, improving the price. I think the price should be the second or the last part. The first part, finding out where the gaps are. We help them in the technology and improving the process, which they really consider since last 2 or 3 years, and they consider us as a partner rather than just a customer. They might be having better prices from other customers, but they appreciate the effort we had put invested in our relationship, and still we're trying to find out synergies and gaps, and the trust building is very strong in such cases.
Is this mainly on quality processing? Was it processing material or actual processes in the yard?
So this is actually their processes, but there's a gap in the quality. They don't know how to use the equipment
Mm.
well. Just by fine tuning the processing without any major investment in capex, you can just fine tune your process and achieve the quality, which can give you 2-3% extra price easily, just
So
streamlining the whole system.
yeah, so to become a preferred supplier, to just clarify and maybe just make sure I understand this right, you're saying it's really partnering. It's kind of collaborating, right? So if you want to become a preferred supplier, speak to the buyer, speak to the people that you're trading with, and ask how, right? How can I, what can I do better? And if they say, well, your quality is an issue, um, have them over and work with them, collaborate. Is there a better process that I could use to clean this material? Or, you're saying it needs to be cleaner, but this is as clean as I can get it. And then all of a sudden they come and visit and they show you something that you hadn't known before, like exactly like you're saying. All of a sudden, they now become a preferred supplier because they listen really nicely and they implemented the changes that you recommended, which got a better quality, which benefits both parties. And then, of course, the benefit to them is you're saying, well, I'm willing to give you a slightly better price because you're giving me a better quality.
Definitely. And another example is, I mean, we all do a lot of business in aluminium. So there was few customers who were paying good price, but they don't know how to pack. Few supply customers giving price, but the suppliers don't know how to pack it properly, so we cannot ship it directly. So I remember how much effort we made to make the videos and how you have to do packing in a proper way. We even sent a person that, okay, please explain them the videos, spend 1 hour, 2 hour, or one day with them, try to teach the labor that it's hardly any cost, but the benefit is bigger than the cost, much bigger than the cost, multifold. So that was the whole process. And also coming to sorting machine, for example, we started even buying the sorting machine for our suppliers in 2004 and giving them on 6 months payment plan. So this is the way we help. Rather than giving a good price, I think it's much better to give them a sustainable resource where they can improve and improve for long term. And all of them really appreciated that, and they always preferred us in terms of customer rather than selling directly to other people. So yes, I believe in the growth by finding out these synergies, partnership where you can share the information, wealth, experiences, and let them also grow with you.
I love that. I love the collaboration aspect to it. It's brilliant. Yeah, really good. Thanks, Anshul. Um, are there is there anybody in the industry that you watch, you see what they're up to because they're kind of setting a standard or moving in a direction that you think others will follow or pushing the boundaries in a certain way?
Yeah, I see many companies. Actually, I don't want to name because other people might like it or not like it. So yes, I see many, but I can mention the industry where I look upon the opportunities which are coming up in e-waste processing, where there's a big resource. I also see opportunities solar panels recycling, definitely lithium batteries. So these are the new industries which we should follow and try to see what we can learn from them, because the industry we are in is definitely under tremendous pressure of capex as well as margins. So somewhere new sectors, as new and new products are coming in the market, recycling of those products should be considered as your expansion plan or as an opportunity in future. So we follow these industries and we're trying to do something in this sector.
Mm. Yeah, I like that. There's a lot of out the box thinking going on as well in those industries. And when we've been doing this for quite a while, it's quite good to sometimes step out and see how other people are operating, and see also if you can bring it into our own industry, because it's constantly things are constantly changing. So there's a lot of new technology, etc. So yeah, I like that. Anshul, we're running out of time, but
Yep.
what we always finish up with is getting to know you a little bit better. So when
Mhm.
people run into you on the street or see you at a conference, they can tell you that they like the same things. So, do you have a favorite TV series or movie?
Yeah, my favorite movie is a movie called Three Idiots, where three friends. So the message I get from it is very simple. So do what you really enjoy, and you'll be 100% guaranteed successful in it. So that was the message of the movie. That's why I love it.
The Three Idiots.
Yes, Three Idiots.
That's
Indian movie,
awesome.
yeah.
We just need one more, and then we're fine. We got three of us. One more on this call. Your favorite place to visit?
I've been to Phuket 11 times. So it's my favorite place where I really get connected to spirituality because of lovely beaches, nature, and I do try to do some meditation. It's a very good place for that. So yes, Phuket.
Mm. Do you go with your family?
Yeah, I've been with my family many times, and a few of my solo trips were also there to Phuket, where I did my paddy learning, sea diving course, and all, and once meditation course. So yes, it is both
Yeah,
combination.
yeah. Thailand's just amazing. I've been to
Yeah.
Phuket a few times, so I really enjoyed it. Have you got a favorite book?
Oh yes, actually, I have two favorite books. The first one was Not a Penny More, Not a Penny Less by Jeffrey Archer, which really pulled me inside in reading. That was the first real book which pulled me and it really inspired me towards reading more and more books. And my really impactful book was The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. I have read this book three, four times, made so many notes, started using many practices in my daily life. So it's very inspirational for
Yeah, I read it a few years ago. I absolutely loved it as well.
me.
It
Yeah.
was one of those books that I think I read, and then I read again like three times in a row, because there's so many things you miss, but yeah, so impactful. It's really good.
Really.
And to end up with, have you got a favorite quote? A lot of people in our industry have some decent quotes. Have you got something that you like?
And each quote inspires me, honestly. And we have a quote board on our reception where all the team members, whoever has any quote, they put it. And each quote
Awesome.
inspires me. But the only quote which I want to mention was uh, mentioned by my guru or my teacher, who left his body in 1973, uh, Neem Karori Baba. I really follow him, and many of our world leaders follow him actually. So his quote was gratitude. That please have gratitude with everyone around you, whether it's a team member or whether even if it is a poor or rich or whoever it is, don't care about that. I really feel gratitude, and that inspires me a lot. That's my favorite. What do you call?
Mm.
I won't say favorite, but yeah, my most inspirational, which really inspires me, is gratitude.
Gratitude is a massive, massive word. It's something I speak to my kids about a lot. It's really important to bring up the next generation with that word at the forefront. So yeah, thanks for that, Anshul. On that note, we've already gone over time, so thank you so much. It's been great having you on here. We've spoken about this since I saw you in Dubai, so I'm really glad we got to do this. Thanks, Anshul.
Thanks to you, and really appreciate for the effort you're putting in by doing this podcast. And must appreciate the passion you have towards the scrap industry. So it's not only about bringing the peers or leaders in the industry upfront, but it's more about spreading the message, bringing them together, and connecting them together. So I appreciate your
Yeah,
effort.
thanks, Anshul. Have a great day, mate.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you
Cheers.
so much.
Bye.
Have a great day. Cheers. Bye.